Alright guys, so my last video was very long. It was I think over 40 minutes long, but the reason why I did that's because I didn't want you guys to have to go to two different videos to see how I did the brake upgrade. So I tried to keep it all under one video, and I know it got a little long, so I apologize for that. But in this video, I'm going to make up for that by making it very short. So I just want to go through an ordeal that I went through with the mini truck that had it out of commission for almost 2 months. And I wish this information was out there for me when it happened to me, because it would have saved me a lot of time and money and frustration and calling AAA to come and tow me. And I hope that this video helps you guys out, so if you have a similar issue, you know what to do or you know what to look for, and that's just throw money and parts at the mini truck. So let's get into it and explain to you what happened. So before we walk over to the mini truck, I just want to give you a quick synopsis of what happened. So I was driving the mini truck one day to a garden center to buy some flowers and whatnot to plant in the spring, some tomato plants and things like that. And while driving up a hill, the mini truck started stuttering and just kind of like hesitating, and then all of a sudden the engine just cut off. So I pulled over and it wouldn't start again. I kept cranking it. It would crank no problem, kept cranking it, but it just engine wouldn't catch, it wouldn't start. So I had the mini truck towed. I didn't tow it to my house to work on it. I needed the mini truck. I was doing some stuff around the house, so I just took it to my mechanic and said, hey, what do you think is wrong with it? So what he did was he did a quick diagnostic, and it sounded, or it felt like the engine was flooded, that it wasn't getting spark. So that was the reason why it left me stranded. So let's go over to the mini truck and see what we replaced. Alright, so the first repair we did, because the diagnosis was there was no spark, we replaced the cap and rotor, new spark plugs, and new spark plug wires. You know, you would think that this would have done the trick, and sure enough, when you started it, it was perfect. I'm like, oh, we fixed the problem, thank God. So I drove it the following day, no problem, but I only drove it around town. So when I drove it on the highway, I went to Lowe's to actually pick up a barbecue grill. On the way back, same exact thing happened. Started stuttering and hesitating, and I pulled over and it died and it wouldn't start again. And again, we just couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. Okay, so for our next repair, we actually thought maybe it was the carburetor. So I went on the forums and I see that these are two very common parts that need to get replaced on these once they have some mileage in them. They're both solenoids that control the fuel delivery to the carburetor. I think one is a slow feed and the other one, I don't know which is which, but they both control the fuel supply to the carburetor. I think one is more at speed and one is at idle. I think one is idle control valve. I think this one might be the idle control valve, but I'm not exactly sure which is which. But in any case, these are not cheap. These are not cheap at all. I think one was like 80 bucks and one was over 100 bucks. So had those replaced, and guess what? It started right up. And once again, I'm like, we solved the issue. It was these things. We solved it. Drove it home, and when I tell you I drove it home, it was my mechanic to my house is only 2 miles. And as I pulled up into my front of my house, it started stalling and it died on me right there and then, right in front of my house. Alright guys, so at this time, I'm getting really frustrated because I spent, I think the cap and rotor thing was almost $300. I had to wait for 2 weeks for it to come from Japan. Same thing with the solenoids, very expensive, had to wait a long time for them to come from Japan. And I'm getting very annoyed because everything I love about this truck is how reliable it is and how you could just get in it, start, turn the key and it starts and you go and you gotta do what you gotta do. And it's such a you know, it's like the little engine that could. And now I have something that's out of commission. You can't connect the diagnostic computer to it because it's before that age of the OBD2 sensors or connectors. And you're trying to diagnose something and you just can't figure it out. Okay, so finally, in the forums, I found some information about somebody having a similar problem to mine, although theirs was a little bit different. It wasn't exactly the same thing I was experiencing, but at this time I was like desperate. So it said to look at the ignition control module or the igniter that's attached to the distributor on the engine. And I took a look, and so this is what it looks like. This is the OEM one. It's the brand is Okai, and that's the part number. Although I've found that part number really doesn't mean anything. It's almost like a serial number. So I feel like they all have a different number when it comes to that. But in any case, you could see it's got like 4 prongs, and it's got this heat sink plate, which, by the way, it's only held on by 2 Phillips head screws. I'll show you on the mini truck then. And this heat sink also has, there's 2 wires that need to ground on this heat sink. So they have like the round eyelets, and you need to ground them with the screw on the bottom. And this part also has a little rubber gasket around the prongs. It's literally the same shape as that black oval you see right there, but just picture like a rubber gasket with 4 little holes that for the prongs to pop through, but it's about that size. You will need to reuse that when you replace this. And this is the part I bought. I bought it on eBay for 28 bucks. 28 bucks. And this is the brand. I'm gonna put the link to eBay but in the description to this video, but as you all know, that link might not last forever. I know when I bought this there weren't that many left in inventory, but the good news is this part was used in a lot of Hondas, so it's not unique. If you can't find this on eBay, you could go to like a Napa auto parts store and probably find it, although the ones I've seen are very expensive as well. Like I'm talking about like over 200 bucks for this little thing. So the way I've searched was like any 1985 Honda probably use this. Anything from a Prelude to a Sterling 825. A Sterling was like a rebadged Honda Acura Legend that was sold as a Sterling, which was a division of Rover, a British car. In the United States, they sold them as Sterlings. Okay, so I got the cover off, and you could see here's our distributor, and I'm gonna just get a little closer to show you. So you could see this little shiny part here. This is a cover. It's got like a yellow zinc coating on it, but this is just a little sheet metal cover that's basically sitting on top of that igniter. And there's a screw here, and there's a screw on the bottom. The screw on the bottom has the extra grounds. I'm gonna see if I could get under there just to give you a better view of it, but basically all you do is replace this Phillips head on the top, the Phillips head on the bottom, and this just pulls off. It had some white gasket material, like almost like a silicone, to help make sure that moisture doesn't get in there. So I just use some of that dielectric grease, but you basically just want to make sure no moisture gets in there because it'll mess up with the electrical connection. So let me show you what it looks like from the bottom. Alright, so hopefully you could see that. So this is the little box. It's just a cover. Here's the Phillips head on the bottom, and here is the 2 connectors that need to be grounded on that. You can see it's a little eyelet that needs to be grounded on the heatsink to that piece. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get an angle from here, but basically that's all there is to it. You basically remove 2 screws and pry it out. So guys, one more thing. When I replaced this and it started, I thought that was the end of the ordeal, but guess what? The same thing happened again. However, I knew it had to be related to this because when I replaced it, it would just crank up. First try, boom, done. So I knew it had to be related to this. So I started thinking, you know what? I bought this part on eBay for 28 bucks. If you go to auto parts store, these are over 200 bucks. So I'm like, maybe I just got what I paid for. I got maybe some cheap Chinese made knockoff, and maybe it was just a faulty one. So I bought another one, a different brand. It was the last one, so I can't put the link for that one, but it even looked used. It came in an envelope, no packaging. At least this one had come with like a little tube of like the white gasket material, and in the box with a part number. This one just came in an envelope loose, and I'm like, man, I'm getting kind of ripped off, I think, here. I think I bought a used part, but when I put it in, it started and no issues. I've been using the mini truck. I've carried a cubic yard of stone in the back, or half a cubic yard. Drove it from there to here with a load, no problem. So I think that this was the issue. Knock on wood, I'm gonna keep using it. If you know, as long as there's no problems, I'm gonna assume that this was the issue. But I wish I had tried this first, as opposed to spending 600 bucks on parts that I didn't need to replace. I mean, now I have spares. I know those that a distributor could be used as an emergency. I have extra solenoids that if these ever fail, I could have as extras. But at least now you know, and you have the information I didn't, which is to look for this issue, the little ignition module. And I'm gonna just start the pickup truck for you guys, just to see that you guys can see that it's running. There you go. So guys, again, ignition modules, I'll put the link in the description for this one that I bought that failed. But at least you'll have an idea of what, even though the link might not be active, maybe at least you could see what it looks like, and you could try to find your own. But again, 85 Honda Prelude, that's what I searched for, and it did the trick. So good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next video.